Hey everyone, my name's Aaron. I'm a senior solution architect based down under in New Zealand. Let's talk supply chain. Traditionally, supply chain executives have struggled to achieve full visibility across their entire operations and rely on insights delivered in standalone dashboards and reports which use a historical view of the business. In this demonstration, we have an analytical application that highlights stores and items with high out-of-stock rates, predicts out-of-stock events in the future for stores and items, and finally, allows us to take action to prevent future out-of-stock events. So, I'm someone who wants to get a quick snapshot of the performance of my sales and product availability. Now I've got access to this Qlik application in which this sheet summarizes exactly that. I can view this sheet by store or by product level, and right away I can see current week details like the sales amount of all the items we supply, how much we have lost in sales due to out-of-stock events, and I can identify any trends in sales. I can also see information around stock availability, including the current week stock availability, which is slightly above target of 92%. In our case, stock availability is the percentage of items available in our inventory when a customer places an order. This metric shows our ability to meet customer demand. Because I'm looking at the product view, I can see which products are short across our stores. For example, the licorice toffees are short in 322 of our 347 stores. Thanks to Qlik's ability to combine multiple data sources, over on the far right, I can see the forecasted sales for next week coming in from our demand planning application. I can see forecasted sales is down 6.9% against the current week. Now our Super Sweets brand is our best-selling brand, so we're going to check them out and understand the activity here. I can see that our current week stock availability is below our target of 92%, and next week the stock availability is predicted to be slightly under target at 91.4%. Notice that a single selection on the Super Sweets brand means all the information is now in context of that selection. The current week lost sales for our Super Sweets brand is $5,285, which is an increase on the previous week. Looking forward into next week, the forecasted lost sales is not as high, but it's still concerning. One thing that I might want to do is quickly ask my category manager to investigate this further. Perhaps there might be an opportunity to prevent a potential loss in sales of over $1,000 for our best-selling brand. Using collaborative notes, I'm going to quickly leave a note for my category manager. Let me also add in some context for them by grabbing a supporting visualization and placing that in the note. Now, I'm going to switch hats. I'm now playing the persona of a category manager, and upon logging into the Qlik Cloud Hub, I notice my manager has left me a note asking me to investigate the potential lost sales for the Super Sweets brand. Let's go ahead and investigate this further. Now, my goal as the category manager is to prevent out-of-stock events in the future, which ultimately leads to less lost sales. Now remember, I've been asked to investigate only the Super Sweets brand, which is our best-selling brand. With my Super Sweets brand selected, I can see details such as our sales amount versus our inventory value. Now the current week is week 23, and we can see that sales has dropped significantly since week number 20. I can quickly find insight into stock availability across all of our regions and what our stock availability is for our individual product groups. I can drill into the problematic region or regions. Take, for example, the Southeast region. Notice how all the individual stores in the Southeast region and their corresponding stock availability percent is now shown. about half of our stores in the southeast region have below target stock availability for the current week, with St Albans 4142 the most problematic store, currently at 64.9%. Now, taking a look at the product level, I can see that jellies are majorly understocked, with the current week stock availability at a very alarming 3.1%. Now, while I'm here, I want to proactively monitor each of these stores in the southeast region. I want to be notified if any of these stores experiences a drop in their current stock availability percent upon the previous week. Now, I can easily create that alert and the corresponding conditions right from my Qlik application. Now, I want to be notified, but I also want the Southeast Regional Manager to receive a notification if the alert is triggered. Now, looking at some finer detail below in our table, I can investigate our sales amount and sales quantity over a period of time. At the moment, my table is showing stock coverage for a 4-day sales period. We can simply answer the question, do we have enough stock coverage for a 4-day sales period at an item and a store level? Notice that I can choose whether to use a 5, 3, or even a 2-day sales period. Now, the rows highlighted in grey show that there are 2 items where we fall short of that 4-day sales period. In fact, I can see exactly how many days stock on hand we have based on our historical sales. Now, if we take into account delays in delivery and lead times, well, we might have out-of-stock events for these 2 items. And remember, my goal as the category manager is to prevent those events from occurring. Now, my Qlik application also displays our forecasting data coming in from our demand planning application, which shows what the next 2 weeks looks like from a sales perspective. So we've got historical data, such as sales amount, sales quantity, stock counts, and we've got forecasted sales. And I can use that information to understand stock availability at an item and store level for next week. Ultimately, we can predict any out-of-stock events that might occur. And that's exactly what we've done here. Using Qlik AutoML on our Qlik Cloud platform, we've created a machine learning model that identifies key drivers in predicting out-of-stock events. Taking you a little bit further into this process, we've started by loading our historical data into AutoML. You can see that we've totaled and averaged the sales and quantity over the last 5 weeks, as well as added data like the item size, the packaging type, the category, and more. We've chosen what we want to predict, which in our case is whether an item is in stock or not. I can also provide some additional configuration, such as model optimization and pre-processing steps. Now, this model can be further refined, and we can take it through multiple iterations until it's ready to be deployed. And all of this is done in our simple, easy-to-use, no-code interface. Now, the output of this is a model that identifies patterns in the data to predict out-of-stock events. Now, remember I mentioned we have access to our demand planning application that contains our sales forecast? Well, I can feed that information into our deployed AutoML model. And the great thing here is that I'm able to incorporate those prediction results back into the Qlik application for consumption and analysis. Back to my Qlik application, I've got a sheet dedicated to helping me understand the predictions for stock availability next week. I can see for our Super Sweets brand, our predicted lost sales is $1,190. Now, this KPI is super important to me, which is why I'm going to monitor this in the Qlik Cloud Hub. Now, that means I don't have to dive into this application to check this value. its most up-to-date value is presented to me as soon as I log into the Qlik Cloud Hub. Back in my Qlik application, 328 stores of our 347 stores are predicted to be short of stock, and 31 items of our 37 items are predicted to be unavailable. I can identify the top 3 key drivers for our stock availability, which are packaging, the brand itself, and the item name. These 3 features have an influence on stock outages when looking at our Super Sweets brand. Now notice that we can drill right down into a product level to understand lost sales for a single product. Take for example the mint chocolate eclairs with a predicted lost sales of $229. I've got 6 stores predicted to be out of stock, and I can quickly identify these stores. Notice our drivers for stock availability for the mint chocolate eclairs is now packaging, group, and brand. These are the key drivers of out-of-stock events. Now, we might have 6 stores predicted to be out of stock, but it really only matters if these stores are forecasted to sell product next week. Of those 6 stores predicted to be out of stock next week, only 4 of those stores have forecasted sales for next week, which of course translates into potential lost sales. Now, up until this point, we've identified a single item under the Super Sweets brand in which we've predicted out of stock events for next week. That in itself is valuable, but I want to do something about this. I want to prevent this from happening, and right from within my Qlik application, I can take such action. There are a couple of different actions that I could take. I might initiate a simple stock reorder through our ordering system, and I can do that from this Qlik application. I might have uncovered a large discrepancy in stock counts against the previous week where something might seem suspicious, and I want a specific store to undertake a stock audit. Again, from my Qlik application, I can initiate that audit request. I might want to transfer stock from another store who is overstocked. I can see that Birmingham 4165 is one of the 6 stores predicted to be out of stock next week of the mint chocolate eclairs. And I can see that our store across the other side of Birmingham has 73.5 days coverage of the same item. In other words, they're overstocked. I can see the distance between both stores is acceptable from a stock transfer perspective. So let's go ahead and action that, which in my case sends a message to the relevant store managers to undertake the transfer process. This action is driven by Qlik Application Automation, which is a no-code visual interface for building automated analytics and data workflows all within the Qlik Cloud platform. Now, let's not forget, let me quickly leave a note notifying my manager that this has not only been investigated, but it's also been actioned. You've just seen a demonstration of an analytical application on out-of-stock detection and prevention that is embedded in business processes and designed to trigger relevant and immediate actions. Thanks for your time.